Every review of the 3 premium Hornets ends the same way, as the Swiss one is technically better, but the differences are basically meaningless, so just buy whichever tech tree you want to grind. I've got 200 games in the Swiss one, and I think that tech is wrong. Not because of the radar, and that one genuinely doesn't matter, and not really because of the engines either. There is one number on the stat card that everyone scrolls past, and it changes how you're allowed to play this plane. Let me show you what I mean. A quick pass on the plane itself, because all 3 Hornets are really identical, and here I'm not going to pretend otherwise. It's the same airframe, it pulls a stupid amount of AOA, snappiest nose at the BR, and it pays for it by bleeding energy like it's got a hole in it, and actually there are holes in this plane. But anyways, throw it around more than once or twice and you are slow, and you really don't want to be slow at this BR. Missiles are also identical. I'm running 5 AIM-7Ps and 4 9Ls, and yeah, I know the meta is mostly 6 Sparrows and 2 9s because of the BVR and everything, but I keep the extra 9Ls because I always find some opportunity to use them on some clueless enemy players in furball or not focused enough ones to punish them. The 7Ps have data link, so if your lock drops for a second, the missile can pick it up back without much problems. Still not the same level as R27 ERs, and it sounds minor, but saves you maybe a 1 kill a session, so I will take it. It's a still semi-active radar though, so you are babysitting that lock for whole flight, and that's the real Sparrow problem, no matter which ladders on the end, because Sparrows are extremely slow. The 9Ls are all aspect, kinematically fine, 0 flare rejection, so 1 flare and it's gone for holidays. No helmet mounted sight on any of them, which hurts, but the dogfight ACM frame is tall enough that you can lock people almost straight above your nose anyways. So that's the jet, identical 3 times over. None of this is the argument. Here it comes, the 3 actual differences. Radar, technically slightly better than the American APG-65. 200 games and I cannot feel it, to be honest. Don't buy a plane for spec sheet delta, you will never notice. Engines has about 10% more thrust, and this one is actually slightly noticeable. I live at altitude in this plane and I get there quicker and sit there faster, and this is a nice bonus. It's still not the reason though. The reason is the one that sounds boring or whatever, the countermeasures. 60 on the American and the Canadian one, 120 on the Swiss, and it's the double. And I know the reaction because it was my reaction too. More chaff, more flares, whatever, who cares? No, stick with me, because it's not about what you think it's about. First, what it doesn't buy you, it doesn't keep you alive. If you can't dodge a missile, Chaff isn't dodging it for you. You will just die anyways with 90 flares in your pocket. And if 3 guys commit to you at once, this is still a Fox 1 plane with an average escape. You are going down with either 60 countermeasures or 120. So it's not the survival. What it buys you is attempts. Here is my actual game plan. I climb out to one side, mostly on the left, level of around 5 to 7,000 kilometers, below the control height, so I'm not advertising myself, and I try to hunt. Sparrow shots at 20-25 kilometers on high targets if they are incoming head-on, closer on the deck campers. Now, every one of those shots has a cost. You lock someone else is aware of you, something is inbound, and you got 2 options. Go defensive, turn your back, or drop altitude and lose your position, or take a notch position and chaff aggressively while holding your 3-9 position to enemy, hold your altitude and take the next shot after possible evasion. On the Swiss Hornet, I hold my notch position without hugging the deck every time. Hugging a deck is not a strategy anymore, and almost everybody knows how to notch these days. And if you're not, check this video out to learn how to evade radar missiles in more depth. Taking the missile or the enemy plane on my 90-degree side and popping some chaff on an active defense is nothing when I've got 120. I end most matches with more than half left anyways, and that's the point. I never once had to think about it. On 60, you do the math without noticing you are doing it. It's your 4th defend. You have burned 40 something already. The match has its critical moments and you skipped the shot. You disengage a little earlier. You take the safe line instead of the aggressive one. Nobody decides to play passive, but countermeasures can make the decision for you. That's the actual difference between these jets. Not 10% of thrust or a little more range on the radar, but the permission to stay aggressive for a full match. And to be clear, it's not winning the fights for you. Whether the shots are landing and you are staying alive, it still looks at your play. Actually, if you fly the American or the Canadian one, I have a genuine question. Have you ever caught yourself skipping a move because you were low on countermeasures? Drop it in the comments, because I think it's happening way too often than you realize. Okay, You have sat through the argument and you earned the good part. And actually, Switzerland almost didn't get these planes. Buying them went to a public vote. Because in Switzerland, the whole population in general votes on stuff like this. Plus, special case on this one, the opponents forced a national vote to block the purchase. So at some point in the 90s, millions of Swiss people went to polls to decide whether their air force was allowed to buy fighter jets. The purchase survived the vote, and that's the only reason this plane exists in Swiss colors. The real ones fly out of a base built in the side of a mountain, hangar carved straight into the rock, which is objectively the coolest place for a fighter jet to live in. And in all the years since, the Swiss Air Force never once used these in actual combat. Training, air policing, escorting, of course, sure, but no Swiss Hornet has ever fired at a real target. Anyways guys, back to the game. So, if you are choosing between the three Hornets and the tech tree is generally doesn't matter to you, the must for me is the Swiss, and it's not even close in my opinion. The countermeasure count is the only difference that compounds over a fully match, and staying in the fight longer is basically the whole game in this PR. Engines are a real bonus on top. Radar, you can ignore it completely. If you specifically want to grind America or Britain, that's a fine reason. Take theirs. You are not throwing away much. The consensus isn't wrong that these are 95% the same jet. I just think that the last 5% is the part that decides how you get to play them. And none of these fixes the actual problem, which is that you're fighting a briquette above you in the most matches and against active radar homing missiles. More chaff gives you better odds in that fight. It doesn't make it a fair one. So that's the Swiss Hornet, same jet as the other two, with some more reasons to actually use it. If you fly one of the others and thinking I'm talking nonsense, comments are there. I'm genuinely curious what your countermeasure counts like at the end of the match if you get to live at that point. Do not forget to like and subscribe if you found this review useful, so it can reach to more people. And check out these videos on the screen too. See you next time. Bye bye.